Hi, this is Ron Kaufman. I'm at Salesforce World Tour in Sydney, Australia with Tiffani Bova.
Yes.
Who is Tiffani Bova? Tiffani Bova is author of this best-selling book, there you go, Growth IQ. It's her first book.
And it might be my only, but right now it is my first. She's a toddler at the moment, so I haven't yet gotten to the terrible twos. Got to let her breathe a little bit before I start talking about the next one.
And it's got legs. It's a toddler. It's going to get out there in the world and serve.
It is.
So okay, what's the essence? What is this really all about?
Well, I think one of the most vexing problems that businesses have today is actually all around growth. Growth is getting harder, sales is getting harder, attracting and keeping customers is getting harder. Everybody's getting into the game. These little sort of new startups are coming and trying to compete in certain ways. And so I think it was just a way for me to tell the story of what I've been doing over the last 15 years and where I've seen great success in companies doubling down on certain things and finding growth.
When you say doubling down on certain things, I know that there's a narrative that's out there called, just the one thing.
Right.
But I get the sense that you're saying maybe that's not. What is your view on that?
Yeah, well, so it started out where everyone used to say to me, from a client perspective, they're like, oh, Tiffani, we need to correct sales in this quarter. What can we do? What's the one thing we can do? Hire more salespeople, spend more marketing dollars, cut costs. And then when I started to analyze, and I'd like to call it, I kind of became this anthropologist of growth for high-performing companies, and I started to deconstruct what they were doing. I started to see the patterns that, number one, it was never one thing. Number two, it was the combination of multiple things. And three, it was the sequence in which they did it that made all the difference in the world.
That's fascinating. And
that was what the aha was for me. Anyway.
Got it,
yeah.
got it. Which kind of explains also why on the front you've got this sort of stage to stage to stage.
Right.
I imagine the sequence in which you do it matters a lot. Now you're with Salesforce today.
I am.
Salesforce, of all the platforms in the world, has got so many things that people can do. So then how do people figure out what's the one thing to do now and what's the sequence we should proceed in?
Yeah, I always like to reframe that question by saying, I don't know. What do your customers want you to do? What do your customers expect you to do? What do your customers really love what you do today? And what don't they like that you do today? And so behind every decision, Mark Benioff, our CEO, likes to say there is a customer. So before you start making those decisions, get out, talk to your customers, listen in on customer service calls. Manage by wandering around, talk to your customers, get out of your office and go be with the people.
Read the compliments, read the complaints, find out what happened at the customer site with. So you actually have told us what's the first thing to do, which is get closer with the customer.
Get closer with the customer, but I think sometimes people get so far away from that because they get caught in the day-to-day. I've become a manager, I've become a director, I've become a VP. Now I'm responsible for all the revenue, and I might even be an entrepreneur, and I have all these things to do. I don't have time to talk to the customer. Like that's the thing you have to make the most time for. Right?
Very good.
And so I like to use Undercover Boss, the TV show, as an example, where the first for sort of 5 or 7 minutes of Undercover Boss, they spend all this time putting makeup on the executive so that they can go out and not get recognized. And I find that fascinating because I'm guessing that they wouldn't really get recognized.
Because they actually aren't out that often?
Because they're never out of their office. So I always use that as an example, right? Just kind of get out and figure out what you should be doing next.
Great. Well, it's wonderful to meet you here. If you've got one last point from the world of Salesforce here on the World Tour in Sydney, what would be that invitation or that suggestion you'd make to people all over the world watching this video?
I would say that the backbone of corporate growth is personal growth. And so with every decision we have to make now, we have to make, as individuals, a conscious decision that we want to try to do something different today and tomorrow and in the future for not only ourselves, but for our roles and our jobs and our customers. So
right.
I'd say it's all about personal growth.
Very good, and that's for everyone. Certainly the young labor force that's coming in that says,
Absolutely.
hey, if you don't have that in your company, I'm not coming in.
That's right.
And then everybody at middle age is going, what's life really all about? And then as the workforce ages and carries on, people are looking for purpose in life, and of course every customer the same.
Yes.
Very good.
He said it perfectly.
Yeah, well, she wrote it.